So I genuinely don't know how I didn't figure this out last time because I've beaten this game multiple times that you you need to get the passwords, but if you walk down this hallway then Silver just shows up and then you can do it. And I was like, I need to get the password. Where's the password? I already had the damn password. The door auto opens when you go near it. And you're not Giovanni. It is stupid. It is stupid that that was set to a timed event that has not been available for 15 years at this point. Something like that. The appearance of Giovanni in that cave in his boss fight. Like, that would be cool if I had ever played it. And they gave some characterization to Silver, which was important. But nah. That is locked. Not even to like paid DLC. To DLC that doesn't exist because it's built into the game. It just you need to go to the Wi-Fi event, and that's kind of dumb. So I've had I've been busy with week. I've been or busy with work. I've been busy with work all month. April was a very busy month for me, although I've still got a third of it. But ends of the month is usually when I'm not too busy. Um, but I've been able to chill out and watch some stuff because I haven't been working on a 3 hour video essay. Aside from writing the next 3 hour video essay, why do I keep doing this to myself? Um, so I finally sat down and I watched Pluto, and it was just incredible. It is such a good fucking show. It's by the same author as Monster and 20th Century Boys. It is. It shouldn't work. Like, a show that is Astro Boy, what if it was like dark and edgy? Like, that doesn't sound like something that would work, but it does. It's a dark and edgy Astro Boy adaptation that works really well. It's an adaptation of an original Astro Boy manga from, like, what was it, the 60s or the 50s. There was a story called, I think it was The Greatest Robot on Earth, where the idea is there's this big strong robot named Pluto that the Sultan had built so it would be the strongest robot on the world and he could take over, and he instructs Pluto to prove that he's the strongest by just going around and killing all of the world's other strong robots, and he fights Astro Boy. And how they expand on that to turn it into this masterpiece is by basically just giving characterization to the robots that Pluto kills. Like, he kills six of the seven. Like, the show goes off the rails and is very different. But in the original comic, Pluto kills just very quickly a bunch of really strong robots. And I'll spoil the first episode of the show and nothing else. Well, the manga. It so in the original Astro Boy comic, there's like 3 pages. I don't remember the exact. I watched the animated, but there's like a few pages of, ooh, this is victim number 2. He's a robot butler named North number 2, and then Pluto shows up and instantly kills him before he has any characterization. But what the show does is, in its first episode, it spends like 40 minutes giving this really compelling, well written story about North number 2 befriending this elderly blind composer and him wanting to be more than a robot and discover music because he's haunted by the guilt of the things he did in the war before the show started. He's haunted by his life of being a killing machine, and the composer just sees him as a killing machine, but they slowly become friends, and it's just this really beautiful and well written thing. And then Pluto shows up and fucking murders him. And it does that. It goes to all of these minor characters who were not developed at all and just gives them just such depth and characterization that makes them into actual characters and their death have meaning. Like, the main character of the series is a guy named Gazekt. In the original, he was named Gerhardt, which I actually like because it sounds like it has gear in it, and that's fitting for a robot, where he's a German detective robot, and he shows up for a few pages, and Pluto rips him in half unceremoniously. And that is who he is. And what Pluto does, the adaptation, is it makes him into the main character. As the detective solving these murders, he gets a lot of characterization, a lot of really touching character moments, and none of that was in it. And there are moments. There's one very particular. I think it's like episode 3 or 4 where it suddenly the story shifts in a big way that it very clearly didn't in the original, and you're like, oh wow, I did not see that coming because it's gone off the rails from the original, and that creates tension because you start wondering, well, if they've changed this, well, it's just it's such a good show. It becomes this really deep, interesting uh, drama, this crime drama of there's a robot killing humans, even though for the laws of robotics prevent that. So how is that happening? It recast the there was just a generic sultan from the original. Hey, what if this was about the Iraq War? What if all these robots were veterans of the invasion of Iraq who each killed thousands of people and are racked with guilt, and that's part of the reason they're being hunted. And we talk about the ethics of war, and the true bad guy, as in all things, is the United States. So yeah, and the other thing is just to bring it back to what my shut the fuck up, Joey. What I talk about on this channel is, hey, you know what Pluto is? You know what that show counts as? Fan fiction. That's it's the best fan fiction I have ever seen, the greatest fan fiction ever, and it stops being fan fiction because it's by a respectable author and it has approval of the original creator. But that is a dark and edgy fan fiction by it is fan fiction by any term by any definition. Like in my Homestuck video, the one that just came out this month, I said that The Empire Strikes Back was fan fiction, and it does, by definition, count as fan fiction because it was not written by George Lucas, who wrote the original Star Wars: A New Hope. But um, Pluto fits even better, and after thoroughly enjoying Monster, thoroughly enjoying Pluto, I gotta read 20th Century Boys. I've heard good things about it. I know nothing about it, very little about it. It's like old friends, and one of them kills himself, and there's a cult or something. And it's a mystery. I don't know. It, but I really like the author's work, so I want more of it. And I don't think I'm going to actually catch any Pokemon this time, so I'm going to read comments and horribly not actually name Pokemon after these people, even though that's why I read comments on this. And this is a reply to the comment I discussed in last week's Nuzlocke video, where talked about candy and how it's sadistic. I was very tempted to just push self-destruct there. I think candy is best explained by Alt Calliope's last conversation with Jade in the comic, where she tells her to follow her human nature and have fun. To me, candy represents basic, immediate, natural pleasures, so stuff like love, sex, drugs, and reproduction, but also more Kismus-type pleasures like killing, fighting, hurting, and being hurt. This is represented in a meta way by fun character moments that don't further the plot. So Candy is full of characters. I can't fucking read while I'm also looking at the game, and I've never figured out how to do this in a seamless way without ignoring one. Doing meaningless fun things like it's all characters doing fun things that appear to the reader's base human desires. This is best represented in by both slice of life fanfics and dark fics like Pluto, which is really good because these types of stories rarely have higher themes than watching your favorite characters do stuff. I see meat as representing the struggle to achieve some higher purpose, like eating something tougher to swallow but more filling. Both epilogues are full of suffering, but meat, Dirk is causing it for a reason. Meat is full of exposition, and the characters pondering on what their purpose actually is. Dirk and Rose don't want pointless hedonism, they want an actual story to fulfill. Even if it means rejecting their natural desires and literally transcending their human bodies without an author, god, or society to create meaning for them, they decide to create their own. And also, Dirk very much, he does call himself capital G God. Like, that is how it is written, with a capital G. He wants to become God. The irony is that the epilogue end up reversing. John, Jake, and Roxy and Calliope end up finding meaning and purpose in their supposedly empty lives. That was a point, that at the end of Candy, it suddenly becomes meaningful, which is what I was all about. While Dirk's supposedly higher purpose is revealed to be an excuse for him to follow his base human desires, doing stuff like canonizing his favorite ship, sadistically humiliating his ex, and stroking his own ego. I think the message is supposed to be that meat and candy are impossible to separate, so even the highest, most meaningful stories are based on simple human desires, even the simplest, most hedonistic stories still have meaning. I also want to clarify the election thing. Just first off, that last point is just really, really fucking good. What's your name again? Greenstone, you should have written the video instead of me. You did better than me. This is good. Like in that video, I said that I didn't really buy Jane as a Trump analog because she doesn't really fit as a Trump analog, but I think the epilogues have strong political themes. Obama's broke completely unrelated to all the economy talk. Yeah, the economy talk is bullshit. I think Hussey portrays Obama as a symbol of Homestuck itself, with Obama's broken promises tied to Homestuck's themes of lost innocence. I don't know if it really goes with Obama's. It doesn't talk about Obama's broken promises. As well as the meta themes of Homestuck's fandom dying. I know it sounds like that one aired in Obama meme, but I swear it makes sense in my head. I'm rambling way too much. I ramble all the fucking time. You're fine. Nothing wrong with rambling. And my new GLaDOS is doing good. You are a good electrode, GLaDOS. Yeah. Please don't die. I've went through too many Pokemon just dying in this run recently. I still need to find a 6, but I don't really have anything that'll fit that. An ice type would be nice. I could go for an ice type. And the other thing that I've watched recently is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is I heard nothing but praise for that movie, and it lives up to the hype. It's just this really, really good movie. It like Homestuck's on my mind because I made the fucking 3-hour Homestuck video essay and got all the comments about it. It does fit in that niche that a lot of really good things do, where it's very serious and has a lot to say and is also fucking dumb and absurd. Like, I don't want to just list off jokes from a movie. I'll give one. I'll give one. So it's a movie about alternate universes and traveling to them, and like I forget his name. He was in Loki and Indiana Jones. That actor, he gets possessed by a version of himself from an alternate universe, and when he snaps out, his wife is like, You are controlled, like that movie, Rakakuni. Rakakuni? Yes, you know, where there is the raccoon on the guy's head, and, oh, don't adjust FPS, hit the wrong button, and, like, controlling him. And that's a dumb fucking joke. But then, when we're traveling through alternate universes, she ends up in a guy where there is a Rakakuni, where there is a raccoon piloting a chef, and he's like, you can't tell anyone, I have to kill you, and he pulls out a knife. And then in the climax, we're showing all of the universes crumbling and everything going wrong, like Rakakuni, the cops take away Rakakuni, animal control takes away that raccoon, and then, as there's the heroic, like everything's being put back together, it is her jumping onto the chef's head and Rakakooning him. Like, it's just, this is a minor part of the movie. There's also the hot dog fingers universe, where Glenn Close has hot dogs for fingers and plays a piano with her feet. And I swear, this is part of a dramatic and really well written scene. And there's a very good dramatic moment of where everything paralleling, like, they just turn to fucking rocks. It's such a good movie, and it's so dumb. But also, it does a good job of being this really deep story about nihilism and family and love, and like that speech, I'd seen it clipped out and put on Tumblr a million fucking times, so it had less impact, but that incredible speech from Waymond about how he isn't an idiot, he isn't naive, but he's tries to be kind and optimistic as a survival tactic because the world is scary and harsh and he just wants to be good. Like, and that moment, like, even in another life, I would have loved to do laundry and pay taxes with you. It's such a good fucking movie, and all the ending conversations with Joy, and also the fact, just this amazing, consistent running gag that, that they can't fucking that Evelyn just cannot pronounce the bad guy's name, and it's just like we are being killed by Juju Chewbacca. Like it's just and all of the kung fu action stuff is incredible. It's a great martial arts theme, but it's so well written and it's so funny and it's just an incredible movie everywhere, everything, all the times is what its name is not. What order is that? Everything, every. I can't remember. It's everything or everywhere first, but it's one of those first, and that's all at once. And it's just a good movie, and I did not consent to you changing. What is wrong with that, Team Rocket Grunt? I'm like a fucking 10-year-old, and you just stripped off all of my clothes and put me into your Team Rocket gear. That's bad. And I can't ride my bike while I'm dressed like a Yakuza member. Fucking bullshit. That's a good movie. And I did. So what's with multiverses real recently? I To be fair, I don't have a problem with multiverse. People are like, "Oh, we have multiverse facade." No, no, you don't. Or not facade. Not what's the word? Multiverse fatigue. Fatigue. Facade is I used to pronounce the move facade because I learned it from Pokemon, and in it ain't spelled like facade. But people don't have multiverse facade. People don't have multiverse fatigue. They have, oh look, we put like this guy who was in this old superhero, he's gonna be in this one for 3 total seconds. Isn't that cool? And no, but yeah, there's been a lot of incredible movies with the multiverse recently, and a lot of bad ones. And I feel like this trend's gonna blow over soon. And it is kind of, I don't know if it's unfortunate or funny or whatever. The Marvel's like, okay, okay, in 5 years, we are going to do this movie about the multiverse. It's going to be this big movie about the multiverse. I hopefully no one else makes movies about the multiverse first. Hopefully this will still be a unique and fresh concept in 5 years. I did see like this was years ago. Someone like complaining like Rick and Morty, everything, everywhere, all at once. Multiverse of Madness. These are all just the same thing. What's with all the multiverse? And there's, I don't know. Oh, let's not complain about people complaining on Twitter for multiple years ago. That's just cringe. Like, whatever. Let's move up another comment. And hey, it's black now because I actually, there are more efficient ways to do this. But how I do things is I do most of my computer stuff in Firefox, including my YouTube channel, but I have to use Google Chrome for writing because Google Docs is programmed to not fucking work on Firefox. And so my second channel is actually not my YouTube email, it's my writing email. And I just have logged in on that browser and logged into my main channel. It doesn't matter. I absolutely agree that Jane's transition from a bit bossy sometimes to her imperious condensation the second is very rough. Something that the epilogues themselves point out in a clumsy attempt to lampshade it. But excuse me. But if I'm willing to make a lot of stretches, I can see some hints that this would happen to her. Nah, I just think it's bullshit. Excuse me. Why am I fucking coughing? I don't know. First off, the first thing that Jane did when she woke up on Earthsea was create a new Crocker Corp. Is pretty big red flag in retrospect. Feels like something she should have been topped out with. Yeah, but there's a difference between like being a capitalist and being a fascist. Like, not that I'm a fan of capitalism, but like I'm gonna open this baking company versus I'm gonna commit genocide. That's different. Well, to be fair, it's the baking company that was owned, and she kept the name of her fascist great grandmother. So actually, yeah, that's a red flag. Even before it completely took over her mind, Jane's tiara was steadily brainwashing her as part of Hicks' efforts to mold her into the perfect heiress. For the most part, this undercurrent of her personality was communicated poorly in the comic, but it does seem notable that For all her stated altruism, Jane's only firm stated goal when she inherited the company was for it to take over the postal system, one of few institutions that managed to resist the Earth. I do not fucking remember Jane having beef with the postal system at all. Oh, why am I fucking coughing? Oh god, I don't want to have COVID. It's probably not COVID. It's probably just allergies and my throat's dry because I've been talking for 20 minutes. I don't remember Jane beefing with the postal system. Closest advisors in the epilogues were Dirk. Yep, that's Dirk. It's just fucking Dirk. And Gamzee. Yep, Gamzee's the fucking worst. Dirk's latest wish was to give the Candy timeline some consequences and conflicts. Yeah, maybe Dirk is behind it. They in the bonus Patreon panels for Homestuck 2, they did have Jaspros say like, "Hey, doesn't your mind feel clearer now that Dirk fucked off to go do another session? Like, now that he's gone, you can think clearly. Doesn't that make everything you've done feel weird? Except Dirk isn't controlling her and Candy. It's just dumb and it isn't handled very well. I've explained all my thoughts on Jane extensively in that video. Jane's antipathy to the trolls seems forced to me, and then debating the actual interactions Jane had with the trolls. I don't think Jane really has. Well, maybe they could have, if they wanted it to work better, could have tied Jane's turn towards fascism, tied it in with her beef with the Condens, who was just terrible to her, mind controlled her. Or maybe they could have made it more clear that this is because of her brainwashing. Or maybe she does have a lot of unconscious beliefs that were drilled in. I do think a very nice visual thing is how red Jane's bedroom is covered in Condens stuff even before she's mind controlled. Like, that is a nice little visual touch in the original comic. I don't know. I think it's poorly handled and doesn't make sense. And the point is that it's poorly handled and doesn't make sense, except that then that point stops existing because the actual point is that people change. The epilogues are messy. They're good, but they're messy, and I like them. So speaking of video essays, I put out a poll on my channel about what video essay should I do in June, because I'm trying to do bi-monthly this year instead of the videos on top of videos on top of videos that I did last year. And it's going good because this is the 4th month of the year and I have currently done 4 video essays. Really taking it easy this year. To be fair, those weren't that bad. Well, one of them was 3 hours, but one of them was 10 minutes. It was fine. But yeah, I'm going to do a video essay in June, and I offered 4 ideas. One of them was this idea. It's been on and off the schedule for like a year and a half now. I used to call it Terminator 2 and the Twilight Zone. I changed the title for the poll to "This scene in Terminator 2 bugs me." And it's about the helicopter scene in Terminator 2, where it's just a very minor thing. There's a really cool shot in that movie of a helicopter flying under a bridge, and that was a very dangerous stunt. And James Cameron, I'm pretty sure he had told the camera, because the camera operators were like, "No, we're not going to be a part of this. This is too dangerous. Someone's going to get hurt." And every time I hear this story relayed, people are like, "Wow, James Cameron is like the best director because he was willing to do something dangerous to make the movie better." And I want to contrast that with the Twilight Zone movie, where the director, he was the guy from Animal House. That's, I don't know if that makes it better or worse what he did. Well, doesn't change it really. It's just imagine being killed by the director of Animal House. Really? That's how you're gonna... So anyway, he murdered children. He did a dangerous stunt with a helicopter, and people were like, oh, this is too dangerous. You shouldn't do it. But no, I'm gonna make the great movie. It's gonna be so cool. With that fucking accent. So, he does it, and helicopter blows up. Pilot dies. 2 children die. horribly because he needed to get his cool shot. And just contrasting the stories, because they both involve danger, both involve helicopters, and like, if was his name John Landis? I think it was John Landis. If John Landis hadn't have killed those children, I do think we would see modern day like film YouTubers like praising him and being like, he was such a great director because like he did this risky stunt and it looks better. Like he's like you know how Shelley Duvall was tortured on The Shining, basically, and took time off of acting because she was just so traumatizing. Well, that was awesome because like it made her a better actress. Like all stunts are like better. Like it's so lame when the explosions are CG and the planes are CG. Top Gun Maverick is cool because the planes aren't CG, even though all of the planes in that fucking movie were CG, and it's a fucking lie that they weren't. Like, just practical effects are so cool, and you should always do dangerous stunts completely practically because it looks better. And fuck safety. And a tour director, I'm just rambling. Oh shit. Welp, didn't see that coming. Also, you'll notice that my Pokemon have seals now. Uh, yeah, I gave my Pokemon seals. Should have been aware that. I mean, fair. None of my team could have one shot that Weezing, and none of them could have taken an explosion. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have another Weezing, so he should be fine. But yeah, another Pokemon. To be fair, it was my Nidoqueen who had a bad ability. I was mostly using it for its defensive abilities, and my team's too beat up. I'm gonna bury that. And oh, I should get back on the other three videos. One of them was the worst adaptation ever made, and it would be about the mini series We Are the Wave, which is an adaptation of The Wave, which was a social experiment, and there's a documentary on it, and there's like 2 films about it. Just this general story about a high school in California where the teacher decides, I bet I could turn all these kids into Nazis, and turns out really easy to turn them into Nazis. And there's an authority figure ordering you to respect authority and snitch on your classmates and beat up dissidents, and just discipline is amazing. Do what you're told. Don't question it. And that got adapted a few times accurately as a film. Well, one of them ends in a school shooter, admittedly, but a few pretty good adaptations that keep the themes of the story. That it's like, oh, it's very easy to fall into fascism. I don't know how it's actually pronounced. Every time I say, I have multiple videos where people are like, why are you calling it fascism? And I don't. Is that wrong? I think that might be wrong. Whatever. So, We Are the Wave. Story about how it's very easy. Those were the extra seals I had, is why it says Lindsay. Okay, so there's this movie about how it's easy for the average person to fall into fascism when an authority figure demands it of him, and that got adapted in 2019 as We Are the Wave, which is about like these young kids who they don't like German weapons manufacturers or racist politicians, and they start like doing vigilantism. And actually, vigilantism and disliking weapons manufacturers and fascists is the real fascism. Like Germany, the real problem that the German public needs to know is that protesting is bad because it gets out of hand, and Antifa's the real fascist. It's a shitty, mediocre teen drama that took a very powerful story about fascism and decided, what if it wasn't about fascism and was about why actually opposing fascism is the bad thing. And the other 2 that were on that were the extra Silver Age stories that I didn't get a chance to get into in my other 2 Batman videos. And the one that ended up winning the poll is a video on Stone Ocean's ending, which I think is going to turn out really well. I, on a whim, added that one because I was thinking about it that morning. I had planned to do that one way in the future, but turns out I'm doing it now. And that Geodude is going to replace my Nidoqueen. Probably going to be better because I I can actually evolve it into Golem because this is a modified ROM. And, well, this is over.